So I know you're busy. We're all busy. We've got lots of stuff to do, but I also know that you love X-Men, and you know that the new Age of Revelation books are out, but gosh, there's so many tie-ins. There's so much to read. Let me help you out. But first, if you wouldn't mind hitting that follow button if you like my content, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. So this video is going to be less of a my opinions on each book and more of a which books do you kind of need to read to keep up with the overarching story. Warning, mild spoilers ahead. So just a brief overview of the Age of Revelation so far. The storyline basically takes place 10 years in the future of the X-Men Marvel Universe, and there's been a virus that has ravaged the countryside. A bunch of things have gone wild and weird, all set in motion by Doug Ramsey, former X-Men, who is now going by the name of Revelation. He is the heir of Apocalypse, and he is creating the world in his own image. Age of Revelation Overture is where it begins, and you really should read this story for sure. Up next is Amazing X-Men 1, and this feels like the meat of the story. It's following Scott Summers, who's been brought to this new future along with Hank McCoy Beast to figure out how to stop Doug Ramsey. World of Revelation is a collection of short stories all set within the Age of Revelation, including characters like Hulkling and Wiccan and Franklin Richards here. It's not necessary for the overarching plot of the story, but I think that there are some stories in this that are going to add a lot of depth to what you're reading in the rest of the Age of Revelation books. Binary number 1, not necessarily essential. It's talking about the Phoenix Force and what's going on with it, but I'm going to give it a couple more issues before I really say whether it's absolutely necessary to the story or just a fun little offshoot. Long Shots is definitely not important to this story at all. It is, the tone is kind of all over the place. It's an odd story. If you like kind of off-the-wall, off-beat humor stories, maybe you'll like it. It didn't fit the tone of Age of Revelation for me, so I'm going to say you don't need to worry about this one. I really thought Laura Kinney Sabretooth was going to be a lot more important to this story than it ended up being. In the first issue, it is really a side story. There's a couple little things here and there that tie it to the larger narrative, but overall, no, it's not that important. Unbreakable X-Men seems like it's a continuation of Uncanny X-Men, featuring many of the same characters from that story set in the Age of Revelation. Focusing primarily on Gambit, an older Gambit who's gone through some tragedy. Galactus is involved. It still is kind of a side story. It doesn't seem to tie in very directly in the main Age of Revelation story plot. It's fun, it's good. It doesn't tie in directly. Iron and Frost, another great side story. It seems to be maybe a little bit more connected than others, but still focusing primarily on Iron Man and Emma Frost and their story within the Age of Revelation. Rogue Storm is centered around Storm, primarily. This is what has happened to Storm. She's undergone some very distressing transformations within the Age of Revelation, and Rogue is sort of there to try and stop her more than anything else. It is very to the side of the main story plot, but very worth reading. And finally, Sinister Six. This one seems pretty important. I just finished reading number 1, and the characters in this and the plot around this story so far seems pretty connected to the main Age of Revelation storyline so far. So yeah, these are the stories that I think are important so far in Age of Revelation. I'll be keeping this list updated. This is still an ongoing thing. There's going to be a lot more tie-ins to come. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your opinions are. If you liked or didn't like any of the titles on this list, just let me know.